Where are you going, ma'am? You can't go up there. We're not going on my head. Good morning, Reptilians. Welcome and welcome back to the channel. So this week we are going to do a video that I get a lot of messages about. We're going to be talking about handling down or bonding with your bearded dragon, whatever you like to call it. Getting to the point of being able to handle your bearded dragon when you first get them. It's perfectly understandable if you want to know about this because you get your new bearded dragon, you get them home, and then they're super skittish because they're brand new and you want to be able to hold them and cuddle them and do all that. So hopefully this video will help you out a little bit. Before we get started, this video is sponsored by iHeartGecko, so make sure to stay until the end of the video to find out all about this amazing company. Let's get into it. So the first and one of the most important things in my opinion to do when bonding with your new bearded dragon is just give them a week to settle in. This is really hard for a lot of people because they get this adorable little animal, most of the time little baby animals, and they just want to touch them and hold them and love them. But your animal needs about a week at least to settle into their new environment. You have to remember that everything has changed for your bearded dragon. They are in a new tank, they're in a new area, the scents have changed, most likely what you're feeding them has changed, or how the food is presented has changed. Everything is different. Give them a time to just learn their surroundings before you start taking them out and putting them into other surroundings, and that's going to help so much. A bearded dragon that is less stressed out is more likely to want to be handled by you as opposed to one that is still panicking from their first move. I have a whole video that I will leave here all about your bearded dragon's first week home and the things that you should and shouldn't do. So if you need that, that will be there and probably at the end of this video as well. So the first suggestion that I have is just put your hand in the tank a lot. What this does is it's going to show them that you're the one that's taking care of them. They're going to start associating a clean tank or fresh salad or fresh water or whatever it is with your hand. They're going to get used to your scent. They're going to get used to you, and that actually can ease them in to being handled. Not the same animal, but with my leopard gecko, the one that I rescued from Craigslist, she did not like to be handled at first at all. She would screech and pee on me. So I had to just keep my hand in the tank a lot until she finally got to the point where she was comfortable enough to walk up to my hand, and then we had to work up from there. A big thing here with keeping your hand in the tank, let them come to you. Don't chase them around in the tank. Don't have them running from you and you're trying to grab them. If they're nervous, don't force them to be handled, because once you start doing that, you are then associating your hand, your smell, with fear, and we don't want to associate you with fear. We want to associate you with food and shelter and warmth and all the good things. Most bearded dragons are really good about this, and they are ready to handle very quickly, but if your bearded dragon isn't, just give them time and let them get used to it. So once we're able to work through them being okay with you putting your hand in the tank, maybe even they are letting you pet them now. If you are still having difficulties, if maybe they're still squirming and panicking or even flaring their beards up at you or whatever when you're trying to pick them up, the next best thing that you can do is just bribe them with food. This is always my go-to when people are asking me how to help their animals bond with them faster. Food is a universal language. Your bearded dragon is going to quickly associate your hand and you with delicious food if you hand feed it to them. I always suggest for this to get whatever is your bearded dragon's favorite, whether it is the butternut squash in their vegetables or waxworms or dubia roaches, whatever it is, hand feed it to them. It is another big stepping stone for those bearded dragons that may be a little bit more difficult. And the last one, once your animal is finally okay with you being around them, being near them in the tank, you can start handling your animal. Handling your bearded dragon, I always suggest handling them in the tank first. This is going to be especially important if you're one of those people that is worried to handle your reptile for the first time, if you've never handled lizards for the first time and you don't know what to expect. And what I mean by handling them in their tank is just that. Put your hand into the tank to pick them up and don't necessarily take them out of the tank yet. This is going to to be safer for you and for them, because if they decide to dart and run off somewhere, they don't have a giant fall. They're just going to be darting right back into their tank. So the first few times you handle them, until you know how they behave when they're handled, until you can actually see if they are a lizard that's going to dart off for no apparent reason, I feel like it is better to go ahead and handle them in the tank. So after your bearded dragon has let you pick them up in the tank, you can start picking them up and taking them around your house. So some quick tips on bonding with your bearded dragon outside of their tank. Number one, I always hold Zaz up on my shoulder, because the last thing that you want to do is have your bearded dragon panic, try to dart and fall and hurt themselves, because then they now associate that pain and fear again with you handling them. So I hold her, because she's an adult, up here on my shoulder, because she can hold on to my shoulders and I can put my hand here to support her to make sure she doesn't fall. Usually when I take her out of the tank, this is the first place she crawls up to, so I know this is where she likes to hang out. If you have a baby, I highly suggest handling them somewhere like on a bed, or even better on the floor, so they can't fall. And if you are carrying them from place to place, make sure that you are holding them under their body. Definitely make sure that you are under their tail, because if their tail starts to whip around, they can injure themselves, and it's also very stressful. Where are you going, ma'am? You can't go up there. We're not going on my head. Make sure you're always using two hands to handle them and supporting that tail. These guys also have some claws, so make sure that you're prepared for that. I've had several people in previous videos ask me about the red marks that'll happen here. My skin is just sensitive anyway, but they do have claws. They will dig in. Make sure that you are aware of those claws when you are handling them. Just another safety guideline. After you are done handling, make sure that you are washing your hands. Bearded dragons can carry salmonella on their bellies if they are running through their own poop. If the tank is super dirty, which it shouldn't be, please clean your reptile tanks. If the tank is super dirty, make sure you are washing your hands after handling them, and definitely not putting their bellies or their hands in your mouth. Don't take them out all day. Remember that bearded dragons do need to bask in their hot spots to digest their food properly. So I would give them a couple of hours in the morning to let them heat up, and then when they eat, maybe give them an hour after they eat, and then you can have them out for a while. Just make sure you are giving them multiple hours through the day to be on that basking spot to heat up. Another big tip is, as long as your yard is safe, you can take them outside. This is not going to be for all bearded dragons. I know that multiple people's bearded dragons will panic and dart if they see birds flying overhead, or if they hear birds and they panic and they try to run away, and we do not want that. Make sure that if you are going to take your bearded dragon outside, you either use a leash or you just keep an eye on them and just kind of know, I guess, their body language. Make sure that they're not going to run away. Also, make sure that your backyard is safe. There's no pesticides or anything like that in your yard, because if your bearded dragon feels comfortable outside and they decide to take a bite out of some grass that pesticides have been sprayed on, then they could get sick. And obviously we want to try very, very hard to make sure that our bearded dragons aren't consuming wild bugs when they're outside, but more importantly, we want to definitely make sure that they're not consuming things like lightning bugs or bees. Anything like that, we want to try to avoid them ingesting, because those things are very poisonous to them. Honestly, that's about it. This video was pretty short, but I think I covered everything for just handling your new bearded dragon, or getting them to the point that they can be handled. If you guys want to see anything more specific on bonding with a bearded dragon, let me know in the comments below. As I said at the beginning of this video is sponsored by iHeartGeckos. iHeartGeckos is such an awesome company that makes conversion kits for old aquariums that you may have laying around. So what these conversion kits allow you to do is to take those old aquariums and turn them into vertically standing front opening tanks for your reptiles. Front opening tanks are so fantastic for reptiles, because reptiles have a third eye on the top of their heads, and if shadows go overhead and you're reaching down to grab a reptile, they will mistake it for a bird or a predator a lot of the times, and it scares them. So being able to reach in from the front where your reptile can see you is super, super helpful, and it's part of the reason that I love these conversion kits so much. iHeartGeckos is such a wonderful company. They are one that I have worked with for quite a while, and one that I actually ordered from and used their products before they even sponsored me because their stuff is so good. Make sure if you do order one of these conversion kits, you put Elle's Reptiles in the How Did You Hear About Us box, so that way they know that you guys are coming from here. Thank you so much to I Heart Geckos for sponsoring this video. As always, if you have not already, please feel free to follow me on my other socials and like, subscribe, and hit that bell for notifications every single time I put out a new video, which is every Sunday and some Wednesdays. This week's Instagram shout out goes to Ghost the Ball Python for following me on Instagram and going through and liking a whole bunch of my stuff. And this week's subscriber shout out goes to CB for commenting on last week's video and being super supportive. Thank you guys both so much. You are the bee's knees. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you have a fantastic day. Bye. Get on up there. Okay. I feel like I'm sitting crooked. Maybe the camera's crooked. New bearded dragon, you get them home. I was not prepared. Difficulties. I don't know what that is. A plane? I don't know what that is.